Okay, let's have a look at my camera setup and what I do for my videos. I used to run a very expensive Canon because I used to take a lot of pictures, and Canon just really started getting expensive, especially on their lenses. So they basically put me in the poorhouse and made me get out of it. I sold my Canon and I bought a compound bow, and I do a lot of practice shooting with that, and I actually get more use out of it than I did my camera. Well, I have multiple cameras. I mean, I have a GoPro. This is the older one. I have an Osmo camera up here, and it's nice that I got to try all these out. And I wish I could have found, um, people that actually reviewed this stuff and was honest. I'll tell you right now, anybody that reviews this GoPro, 99.9% of them are a bunch of liars, is what they are. And it makes it very difficult to find somebody that is actually honest in their reviews. And people that do reviews are starting to get a bit more honest, but they're still on the scam because they want you to buy and click that link. And that's just the way it is. The GoPro overheats, doesn't always record files. And when the files do record, they're a mess. They don't have any proper naming. Where the Osmo, when it records as 1, 2, 3, 4. You know which files are in order. So when it comes time to edit with the Osmo, you can actually throw them in your program. So, oh, that's 1, then we put 2, then we put 3, and it makes editing so much easier and so much quicker. And time is a big thing. You go and drop 100, 200 files on this GoPro, and then you try to figure out what matches to what. Oh, it's a mess. You'll be at it all day. It's the most frustrating thing you ever seen. So you don't want to record a lot of files with this. You really don't. Or when you record with the GoPro, you might want to do this type of thing so you know what number is in order and this type of thing, and it'll help you edit a little bit more. It's still a total mess. So my total setup consists of an Osmo 2. It consists of a Rode Wireless Go 2, which comes with 3 microphones. So this way you could record 2 people at once. I have the Kia gimbal, and the reason I have this gimbal is because it allows me to run the microphone on the Osmo, and that's the nice thing about it. And the 2 things I like, I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. What's going on? There we go. So I go 1, 2, 3, and then it comes around in selfie mode. I go 1, 2, and then it goes back. You see that's the only reason I wanted it, was for those 2 reasons for a gimbal. Now I do run Rocksteady on with the gimbal. Rocksteady is another form of stabilization within the Osmo. I found when I ran the gimbal, the Inkey Falcon Plus gimbal, without Rocksteady on, then I would get jitters. So you need the Rocksteady on if you're going to run this. Now, if you run this, if you run the gimbal without walking and you just got it set up and it's not moving around and it's kind of on a tripod, it's not moving, it's just sitting there, then you could just run the HD of it and record that way. I don't run no fanciness in my Osmo. I don't run it on Cineplex and make everything gray and then have to add LUTs and all this crap. I don't do that. I run it strictly as the base color, what it makes, and I don't choose to change my ISOs and all that stuff that you see a lot of guys do. I just have it set to automatic. The simpler, the easier, the faster I can edit. With PowerDirector, when you edit instead adding LUTs, and then you compile to make your video, you literally will sit there for sometimes 6 to 8 hours compiling. And that's just ridiculous because I want to use my computer. So when I don't have to use LUTs and I can go strictly off the camera's colors, it makes everything go faster. And I'm not trying to make some big movie edit here. So everything I do is to make things fast, quick, simple, the least amount of computer work as I go. I carry a case. This particular case allows me to put all 3 microphones in there of the Rode 2 microphones, and allows me to put the cords in there. Now, this comes in handy for my backpack. I'll put them in there when I'm not recording, and it's a semi-soft hard case, and it keeps the microphone safe. Now, at the same time, the gimbal itself goes into this PGY Tech case, and gives the gimbal some protection. I can put it in there with the camera and the microphone on top, and a few other little things, and this will go inside my backpack too. This is the battery bank I use, and this was actually fairly cheap. This bank has 3 USB plugs here. Now, one of my biggest problems was, because you got to think, you got 3 microphones. So if you want to charge all 3 spots are used. So all you're charging is your microphones. I cannot charge the gimbal, I cannot charge the camera, all at the same time. So I ended up picking up this cord here, which is 4 feet long, and it runs off 1 plug. So now I'm only taking up 1 plug on my battery. And now I've got 3 USBs that I can use. Now what I can do with this is plug it into my gimbal, plug one into the camera, plug one into the microphone, and all these items here are being charged at the same time. This cord does not have to be used just on the microphones. So that was nice. Now if I want, I could plug another cord in and now charge up the other microphone. If I'm normally using 2 microphones, because you got your receiver and the one you talk into, right? So that actually makes things a lot easier. That's my total setup. You're looking at probably, with the battery, the camera, the gimbal, you're probably looking at about 3 pounds is what you're looking at. And that's a really nice light setup. Sometimes I will take the GoPro with me if I'm only doing little shots. You know, if I want to leave that there and I want to hold this in my hand and I want to take some little shots or some B-roll, I might still use this a little bit. But to use this full time for vlogging or on a constant basis, no. GoPro's garbage. And I don't care how many reviewers use it or how many people type in the comment section how great it is. It's not. This whole thing was not designed by an engineer that uses cameras. It was designed from I don't know what. Or the company or the owner doesn't test the cameras or he doesn't use them. He's all about the money. You'd think the file system would have looked at. You'd think he would have looked at the Osmo and said, okay, why is that Osmo so great, and brought those into the camera. But he never has. And that is ridiculous. I hope Osmo brings out another camera like this with upgraded features. I really do. But instead they released a square camera, which is complete garbage and overheats. And another camera company trying to do something can't be done. They had it with this one. This one I can go full hour without it overheating. This one gives me a lot more advantages than any other camera I've used. And that's just the facts. When you run the Canons or you run the Nikons or you run these cameras, unless it's a Sony, I believe, you have all these limits, 30-minute limits when you record. And people are like, why do you need more than that? Well, believe it or not, I do a lot of video. And I go past the 30 minutes all the time. And it's a pain in the butt waiting for a camera to cool down and reusing and just losing my track of mind. I can't stand it. Now, in order to learn all this stuff I've learned, it's taken probably a good 10 years of mistakes in buying all these shit products before I learned exactly what I needed. This setup I got now is perfect. And I probably am going to pick up another Osmo when I find one at a good deal. But, I mean, from what I've seen, this works great. I do 4K video, no problem. The gimbal works great. I have no complaints with the gimbal whatsoever as long as it keeps working. No complaints about anything. The audio sounds good, which I'm recording on the Rode 2. Everything else is wonderful. And the whole idea is to keep the weight down. Record what I'm doing, but keep the weight down. Because when you start putting stuff in a backpack, it gets heavy. In total, with everything here, with the battery, the cable, the extra charging cable, and the microphones and the camera and the gimbal, I'm looking at just under 3 pounds. Which I don't think you're going to get much lighter than that. I really don't. I think that's where you're going to stay. But this is my complete setup and I think it's pretty awesome. If you want to set up, or you do have the Osmo already, I'll have links in the bottom. You can go check it out. And keep in mind, I've got my, my microphone right on top of that camera. Now you can't use the metal housing that another company makes. You have to use the plastic housing from Pytech. You also have to buy the external plug for the external microphone to connect to it. But I'll have everything, like I said, in the bottom in the description box that I'm running. So you can go pick them up off of Amazon affiliate links. And if you have the Osmo, if you're curious about which ones to run, don't run any other gimbal except this In-Key Falcon. You pay a little bit more. All the other ones, you cannot put microphones on them. They're just very frustrating. This one has stronger motors, which allows you to pretty much run a complete setup with that Osmo camera with that actual Rode 2, and that's nice. So, and I did a lot of research before buying this gimbal. I was like, well, this gimbal's more money compared to these other gimbals by 30, 40 bucks. Why? And when I did the comparison, I went, okay, I can run the microphone. They're stronger motors. I can see why I'm running that now, is what I can see. So like I said, check out the bottom. The links are there. If you already got the Osmo, you're probably going to want to pick up this other stuff. And if you don't have the Osmo, maybe this is the type of setup you want. And you want to make your YouTube videos for it. And this was the lightest, the coolest, and the best I can run. And it's funny that the camera is old camera gear compared to this garbage. I really wish GoPro would work on their heating issues, their file system. Oh God, there's like 20 things with the GoPro they really need to change and upgrade. And every time they release a new camera, the first thing I do is start looking at what they're doing. It's not even, oh, it's going to record 8K video. Like, I give a shit about that. Why don't you fix all the stuff that's broken in it and just make a really good 4K camera? So it's just, and there's been other people that have tried to compete. There's other cameras out there I've looked at, and they all have heating issues too. So I couldn't get around it. The Osmo was the best I could find. Links are in the bottom. And this is what I run, guys. If you're interested, I'll catch you guys on the next one.